Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we have a very special guest with us. First of all, I would like to introduce myself, especially to Huma. This is Aisha Salim, the Communications and Design Manager at NIC Islamabad. It is my absolute honor to host this Fireside Chat with you. So guys, to introduce Huma to all of you, Huma is a product lead for AI-led digital transformation and product experiences at Cisco. She is also the co-founder of Pakistani Women in Computing, if you all must know, PWiC. So I am looking forward to a very insightful session with her today. So before we start, I would like to ask all of you to note down your questions because we're going to have a very interactive Q&A session right after this. Let's give a very warm welcome to Huma, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Huma. So let's start with something light. You've worked in global tech for over 17 years and co-founded PWiC. What's something surprising or an unexpected learning for you in this journey?
Surprising and unexpected. I think we expect a lot. Everybody has a plan, you know. When I graduated and when I started working, and there was a plan in my mind, you know, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm going to do next. But how the actual life unfolds and how, you know, careers are, different career opportunities are, you know, they show up and how you take them and how you navigate. Definitely. I think I would have never expected where I am today. PWiC was a complete surprise. How big it has, you know, it has become, and the sort of impact it has. So I think just leading with curiosity is what I have always done. But where it leads you, that was the, you know, there is a surprise every.
That's a beautiful.
You know, every milestone is a surprise for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So did you expect yourself to be in this community of design and products and technology before as well, or it was surprising for you to end up here?
To some extent, yes, because I'm a generation, you know, who we are kind of, when we started or we graduated, that's when the Pakistani's, you know, tech industry was taking off. I'm not saying I'm the founding generation, but yes, we were the, you know, among the newcomers that were just entering the market, and the telecom industry was booming, and tech was a really cool, you know, thing for people like my age. I definitely knew that I wanted to do something exciting, something interesting that can solve problems, and that was my motivation not to choose my, you know, a career in medicine rather in technology.
Something that's very common in industry.
That's very common, right?
Yes.
But where I am today, especially the kind of products that I'm building and the kind of companies I'm working for and the kind of, you know, problems I'm solving, I think that I probably had not imagined the scale and the scope and the, you know, the breadth of, you know, the impact and the problems that I'm solving today. So yes, that was a surprise.
That's lovely. So Huma, talking about problems, can you give me an example of what one specific problem you've solved that's really inspiring and an eye-opener for you as a person and as a professional?
So I work in the digital learning space, and that is a space that has picked up quite a bit in the last 5 years, you know, with the rise of remote work and having more access to internet, having more access to devices, and people have more access to learning opportunities, and that's something that has really accelerated, you know, the digital learning space.
Definitely.
And we are looking at learners that are from very diverse backgrounds, from very diverse regions, you know, in the world, and they are solving for a learning community that is so global and so diverse.
It's beautiful.
Sorry.
No worries at all. No worries at all.
इसकी थोड़ी सी हीट कम कर दे.
Do you want some warm water?
Would love that, yes. Wrong timing, but
Huma. We can take a break if you want.
I do actually have, I think it's the dryness that is causing, I do have allergies problems, so that can always get flared.
हाँ, साइड वाला बंद कर दो.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
मैंने आने से पहले अपनी सारी medicines ली थी, but maybe it didn't work. So basically, I was saying that when you're solving problems for such a global community of learners and what they are looking for, trying to achieve in their careers and in a personal life, especially when it comes to learning technical skills, that's a very exciting as well as challenging problem to solve. And I love, being in that space, building products, building platforms, experiences. So I have worked on the new digital learning experience platform for Cisco, Cisco U. I lead the learner experience, and I can tell you that every single experience that we build brings a really new set of challenges and opportunities for us. There are learners that are just entering the tech market and they're looking for guidance and and exposure, and then there are learners who have been around in the tech market for or the tech industry for maybe many years, and they are still looking for upskilling and reskilling and staying ahead of that learning curve. So all of that really brings very unique set of problems and many unique set of challenges, and that's what I really like solving every single day as a product manager. So if I have to really say what is my most exciting problem that I've solved, I would say that building this digital learning experience for the global community of learners has been the most exciting experience, because I can see the impact every single day. Even here in Pakistan, when I came here, I found out all the different universities that are using that platform and the students that are taking those courses, and now it's helping them. That's when I really get to see that the work that I do actually has on ground impact.
This new generation is really into growth and tech
Right.
and AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes. And that's one thing that I've learned here at NIC. The exposure they're willing to get and gain, that's one thing. If you talk about striking a balance, I would want to know, how do you keep a balance between accessibility and user experience in digital products?
I think that's a question that every product manager and product designer is trying to to answer. When we talk about balance, we think about either we have to choose one, or we have to prioritize one or prioritize other. When it comes to building products and accessibility, I don't see them like two different things where you have to choose experience and then you have to choose between accessibility. I think they just go hand in hand.
They merge in beautifully.
They merge in really beautifully, right? If you are if you're building products for people so they can benefit, from the experience, then just looking at all the different types of users. And accessibility is not just in design. There are other, at least in my mind, there's so many other ways you can include various types of users and make your platforms and products more accessible to them. But for me, it's not one or the other between which we have to choose and create a balance. For me, it's a very harmonized, integrated thing, that your good experience should also be accessible.
Very true.
So
very true, agreed.
That's how I approach these problems with my team. It's not an afterthought. It's something that is embedded in the practice of design that you're building, and it should just reflect in the work that you're doing.
And how do you ensure the implementation of these products once you've striked that balance? In the way, specifically in the way you've envisioned it, specifically in that way.
Are we talking about like how do we implement these
The
and
products.
the products?
Yes.
Okay. From my experience, you know, working with user experience design and research and engineering and other product teams and even content teams, like even inclusive language, you know, a language that doesn't isolate other segments, you know, that is also so important. Not just the design, but the representation. And so when you're building, I just see that as a team, you know, as a team effort, that everybody understands the core principles around which we are building a product. And that core principle of this needs to be accessible, this needs to be inclusive, this needs to consider diverse perspective and diverse users, that should reflect in your design, like architectural design, your product design, how you market and promote your product, what kind of language are you using, who are you, you know, targeting, even the pricing that you set.
Very
you know,
important questions.
these are really important questions. Like if you are launching something that is going to help, especially in the learning space, you know, making learning and education accessible for everybody, it's not just the product itself that matters, it's the content, it's the, you know, it's the access to the platform itself, which could be having access to infrastructure that will allow you to have, you know, access to the digital experience, and then being able to buy that, or, you know, that is also. So I think it's a mindset, and it's a core principle that product teams really understand and apply when they're building something. So it's, again, not an afterthought. So when all of that is brought together,
Also team effort.
it becomes a team effort, right? And it becomes, at every stage, you're thinking actively about how do we make it accessible, how do we make it inclusive, how do we make it diverse, you know, representing diverse point of views, diverse user types, even within learning space, like different learners have different, they learn, you know, knowledge differently. Some people prefer audio, some people prefer, you know, video, some people prefer reading, and there are so many other features around accessibility that you can add depending upon what sort of modalities they prefer. So all of that really goes into how do you design and implement
detail.
every small detail. Yes.
So Huma, I can't stop thinking about PWC, your role there. I am somebody who has always been very motivated to do something of her own.
Right.
I'm on that journey. So that's just very selfish of me to ask this question here on this platform, but I really want to ask, and I am sure they would also want to know, what inspired you to become the co-founder of PWC? What vision did you see?
Yes, so I don't think I planned to be the co-founder or, you know, all the big titles that come with PWiC. That organically happened because I was trying to solve a problem, and that's how, you know, the whole mindset of working in product and design and engineering, and even in other, you know, I would say other fields where people are trying to solve something. They see something where there is a gap, and they see how can we fill that gap and what can we do to address that gap, and that's how PWiC also came into being. It wasn't my dream, like I didn't envision myself to be doing all of those things. I'm actually I know I'm very extrovert when you look at my LinkedIn, but otherwise I'm a very introvert person who really keeps my ideas and things to myself until they become, you know, so like they inspire me so much that then I have to just break down that mental barrier and then go out and you know, pursue them. So PWiC was an effort to solve the problem for myself. I am a SEEKS, you know, NUST graduate. It wasn't SEEKS back then, it was NEET.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
it was NEED in 2005. So I graduated from there and I had an itch to go and explore the world. So I went to the UK for my master's. And when I came back, I had to really start from scratch. My job search, building my network, looking for opportunities. And it took me, even with a foreign degree, we expected, if you have education from abroad, it's much easier to find a job in Pakistan. That was not the case in 2007, because the overall political situation was pretty troublesome here, and companies were not actively hiring. So it took me 7 or 8 months to build that network, to go through the interview process and understand, where should I even be looking and what should I even be looking for. And that experience, I would say, was very humbling. Like when I hear that a lot, I have just graduated, I'm looking for a job and I'm not finding anything. I think that really made me realize that even with all the education and degrees and technical knowledge, you still need a network of people. You still need, you need to have a community that can help and support you and guide you. And I did not have that when I came back. So when I moved to the US, after that, my community building started here in Pakistan. I started different things at SEEKS. I was actually president of the community services as well. So I think you become whoever you are when you are young. When you grow, it just gets amplified. So the community and volunteer spirit, right? So community and volunteer spirit was always there, and I have always been either building something or being part of something. But when I moved to the US, I had to restart the whole journey again, like building my network, finding, looking for opportunities, and then preparing, and then trying to figure out how to even fit in that new culture and new market and where to look for that. So that whole experience restarted, and that's when I realized that it's not about where I am and who I am. It's very, these sort of experience are not unique to you. These sort of experience, a lot of people actually go through that. And that realization led me to put the foundation, of PWiC. And then I was very lucky to find another like-minded co-founder, Farah. She was living in Seattle, and she had a very similar journey like mine, undergrad education from higher education from Pakistan, and then moving abroad, and then working at Microsoft. So I think we both of us had very similar experiences, and then we realized, okay, it's not just me, it's maybe all of us, maybe more people are like that. And that's when we joined hands and we put, the foundation of PWiC. And I do want to mention that the first chapter of PWiC was actually the foundation of that global, presence started here at NIC in 2018. So it's like coming back, after 7 years.
Ironic.
Definitely. And we had a house full, here with and that's the power of the community, right? I had people who knew me from my school days and people who have worked with me, but a lot of people who I was just meeting for the first time, and they all came together and they just wanted to, put the foundation of Islamabad chapter here.
Lovely. It's lovely. Okay, so moving on to some personal growth.
Sure.
I would want to ask, you've mentored countless individuals in STEM, right? So what's one piece of advice you have always shared with young talent around the world?
Yes, so I have mentored officially, like I've been part of different mentoring initiatives, both at Cisco and outside in different communities, and sometimes I just get a random ping, in my LinkedIn inbox, and somebody is asking for advice, and I'm always open to,
That's very rare.
whatever I can offer.
So highly appreciated.
I actually had to create a meeting page for myself just to see, so I can take those mentoring requests in a more organized and more manageable fashion, so I can, while I'm doing everything else, I can allocate it some slots for that purpose. So yes, if you're any one of you is interested, you can reach out to me, and I can share that link with you. There are two pieces of advice that I like to give, and in most cases, I feel people are, they are not held back by somebody else or an external unseen force. A lot of us are actually held back by us. We are the one putting barriers, or I don't know the skill, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I'm the right person to do this. And this, self-talk, constantly questioning and your worth and your skills and what you can offer is really the barrier. It's not, I'm not going to undermine the external barriers that actually exist, like the systematic barriers, but I think it really starts with us, that when we tell ourselves this story, I don't think I'm the right person for this job. I don't have all the skills that are listed here.
I think we're all feeling attacked.
So that's the one thing that I noticed, that people just, that they just tell themselves this story, which is not true. We are capable of doing things, and we have a lot of people around us who have gone through those experiences, and that's why it's so important to have platforms like NIC and PWiC, to show that role models and to share those journeys, and to share that it wasn't always this. Like I did not know that I would be leading this, this sort of team and experiences in product when I was here like 20 years ago, or I would be a co-founder for PWiC. I think taking every day, as is, and focusing on what can I do right now in this moment, whatever is given to me, how can I do my best in the present, is kind of, it's setting the foundation of a future. Because sometimes you think about, I don't know if I have done this, like if sometime I misplace something, or I forget how I have done this in the past, but my past, now I believe that my past self was a wise self. Whatever decision I made in my past are wise decisions, and that's why I'm here. So I think just staying in the present and not constantly worrying about what was going to happen in the future and what I've done in the past, all of that really demotivates us. It takes the energy out of, instead of bringing momentum, we constantly think about all the possibilities that will not work.
So how do you keep yourself motivated?
There's so self-motivation comes from clarity. If you, and I'm not talking about the sort of clarity that I know that 5 years down the road I will hold this title and I will have this job position. That's not the clarity that is leading me. It's the clarity that wherever I am, and whatever job and situation and space that I will be, my core value is to keep building and to include everybody else that is around me in that, the process of building something, to solve something, to find a problem, to solve for that problem, to build a solution. Either it's a solution through building a new technology, building a new product, or even building a community. All of that is what my core is. I'm a problem solver at my core, and I like to collaborate. I like to include people from various different diverse backgrounds in that problem solving. So if that is my core, regardless of where I go and what I do,
that explains your background as well.
That explains my background as well. So I think it's really important to understand your core value and then keep on applying that core value wherever you go. I used to just like everybody else, we get, I don't know, I don't know if it's a mindset, but I used to, 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 I used to we use titles and for our introduction, like I'm a product manager at so and so company and I'm doing this, and just to make ourselves sound relevant to the conversation. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think at the core, if you're not working for that company, who you are then, if you don't have that particular job title, especially with right now with all the layoffs, happening, so attaching your identity to an external entity, that can be taken away from you, is the worst that you can do to yourself. So always come back to who you are, what sort of problems really intrigue you, what sort of problems you're trying to solve, and then whatever job title, whatever place, position and situation you will be put in, you'll always come out to be that person, because that is your core. And that is the advice that I give to anyone who approaches me, for mentoring. Yes, there are times when I tell them specific, actionable, tangible, steps to do. Here's how I would like you to update your CV. Here's how I would like you to go and apply for this job, look for these opportunities.
Being a mentor.
Yes, being a mentor, I definitely, bring more tangible action items for them to go after. But overall, I think the philosophy after doing, working in tech, working in building products, looking at everything from a diversity and inclusion and even sustainability point of view, and being part of so many communities, I think the core value that I now believe in, I'm somebody who is really passionate about building and solving problems, and I like to do it, collaboratively with other people.
So, Huma, one thing that comes to my mind is you've visited Pakistan after a very long time. So, what are the gaps, specifically themes, that you think come under this topic that we're discussing today, should be bridged as soon as possible by the founders at NIC Islamabad?
I think you and I talked about this a little bit when we were preparing for the conversation.
That's a very spontaneous question that came to my mind, but I think that's going to be very helpful for these people.
So I think one of the things that really suffocate me is when people try to put labels and put me in a box. Oh, you are a product manager, now come and talk about and or if I'm leading a community of women in tech, then that becomes my introduction. Just like I said, there's nothing wrong with it, but I feel that we are more than just one. We are very multidimensional and multi-skilled and multiple things can interest you at the same time, and that's perfectly fine. Do not try to fit in somebody else's story that doesn't fit your core. So when I was choosing the title for this one, I put everything that really excites me and the passion that I pursue. So yes, I am a community builder, or I work in communities, I'm a volunteer, but I'm also a product manager, and having that sort of exposure to community, especially very diverse communities, really helps me become a better product manager. And when I'm a product manager solving problems in digital space, when I bring that knowledge to community building, it really helps scale, those communities. And especially with PWiC, I don't know how many of you know that we launched a virtual career fair during COVID in 2020. Okay. And that was Pakistan's first virtual career fair. Okay. The whole team was actually sitting in the US, and we got all the tools and all the technology, and we set up the whole experience for people who could all the people in Pakistan. We even had people joining from candidates joining from Balochistan and Quetta and Kashmir and these really remote areas, and we connected them with companies here in Pakistan, and also in some cases we also brought in companies from outside. So we really drop that barrier or bridge the gap and bridge that accessibility, make it finding opportunities, employment opportunities really accessible. But I would, as much as I am a product person and a community person, I don't think the idea of using a virtual career fair and bringing in an AI platform and all the other collaboration and voice, video technology into that to solve that problem would have been possible if I didn't have the background in technology and product and working with a global tech company. So I would say that your community experience helps in your product experience, because then you understand.
Skill set
Exactly. It brings that skill set. So when I look at, for founders, you may be coming from a very different background. You may not have a technical background, and I hear that a lot. I'm not technical enough. I don't know what is being technical enough. Like, are we pattern recognition, looking at different problems, solving them, breaking them, larger problems into smaller problems, and then solving them? They're all challenges that are, I would consider, technical challenges. Even without even writing code, you can take a big problem, you can demystify it, you can use logical reasoning, and then you can come to a conclusion. It's an opportunity, right? So whatever background that you have, but whatever exposure and experience you have, and you have an idea, you may not have specific skills in particular technologies or frameworks, but really, what you already know, because whatever led you to take that idea out of your mind, write it down on the paper, and come in front of other people to present that idea, shows it's important to you, shows that it's bothering you, you want to solve that problem. Now, presentations and technology and products and experiences, they're all means to solve that problem. They are not the problem that you're solving. So trust in your ideas, trust in your experiences, trust in your exposure whenever you're solving, regardless of the background that you have, because I'm pretty sure you will find people who will have the right skills to actually enable your idea to go to the next level. But it's really
obviously always need a team.
You always need a team, and you cannot do everything yourself, and I think that's one thing as a founder, that not many people know, but I led PWiC for the first 2 years as its president, and the moment I realized that now PWiC is so big and it needs larger scale, it needs somebody who can scale the organization, and that's when I decided to step down as an active president and just took a more advisory role. And that's a hard decision.
That's so thoughtful.
That is a hard decision as a founder, because you are attached to your idea. It's your baby. You have seen your idea gone through all the different stages, but that's where you need to know that is idea and you are the same thing, because if you're not the same thing, then you can go and create another idea, but let that idea thrive, let that idea scale, let that it become big. And if you're not the right person to scale that, it's okay to take a step back and let somebody else lead. Okay. Maybe a hard advice for a lot of founders, but
but it's very thought-provoking. I'm sure it is for all of them. So before we wrap this up and I open the stage for questions, I would want to do a quick rapid-fire round with you.
Sure.
I would want you to answer in one word or a sentence. Okay?
Okay.
So what's inclusivity to you?
Including everyone that matters.
How do you define diversity in one sentence?
Diversity in everything, not just in gender, but also different point of views, different experiences, different exposures, different ideas. People with, for me, diversity is bringing all the different colors together to really, have that rainbow, of perspective.
Lovely answer. One tech trend you're most excited about?
ChatGPT. I know it's a very...
We all are.
But I think the way it has really, amplified, like I love brainstorming ideas, and I just found the perfect buddy who doesn't say no to ideas, but rather like actively participate in my ideas. So yes, I
Your
definitely like
favorite productivity hack?
take a break.
Lovely. One skill you think everyone should learn?
Communication, what to say, when to say, and how to say.
What is digital transformation to you?
Improving lives, because digital transformation brings so much opportunity to solve a problem in a new way, and that those experiences can be transformative. So that it's transformation is that for me.
Okay, so my
Changing
favorite
lives.
question: describe your dream product to design in 3 words.
Simple, useful, impactful.
Lovely. Okay, Huma, it was lovely talking to you, and I would love to chat with you, but I think it's fair enough to now let the audience ask questions. So, of course, Salman had to be that person.
Hi, well, it was really nice listening to you. I did step out for 2 minutes, but then I was like, I missed the crux of the conversation. So, so I want to understand a few things at Cisco, because Cisco is technically a tech company that is into networks. So, how are you leading? What are you doing with respect to the digital transformation there? Because AI has impacted a lot of things. How we work, how we look at things, how we look at products. It has really disrupted that whole chain of command and chain of thinking and chain of working. So how is Cisco dealing with that? And because we want to learn this, because we want to, as a startup here, we have a tech startup, and we're trying to digitize and empower travel and tourism stakeholders across Pakistan. So we really want to understand that how can we leverage, your learnings from Cisco, because as a company, a big company, when they introduce AI, they're always trying to fix something, replace someone, or trying to maximize or squeeze profits. That's how the corporate giants tend to work. At times we'll talk about these words, community, diversity, but most of the time I felt that they're just slogans for, hiding behind different labels. So how is Cisco dealing with this, and how do you, what kind of digital transformations do you do at Cisco? I would really like to understand that.
Right. So I think a lot of people, when they hear the word Cisco, they think about networks and routers and switches and everything networking. But Cisco has evolved in the last 10 years as a company that is not just into networking and infrastructure. We are building products that are in cybersecurity, like securing your networks, not just building the networks, securing them, collaboration technologies. So, and this is not just the software, like, from WebEx as a software to everybody, like the full suite of solutions, from software to hardware. So these are the things that, and then now in the most recent years, there's a huge focus on sustainability as well, both from how do we solve problems for our customers and partners, but also for how do we build products that are not bad for the environment. So having those recycling and programs where you can take the product back and you can recycle it and reuse it and bring it back. So reducing the carbon footprint, even having products like Cisco Spaces, which is a recent, and something like NIC would benefit from that kind of solution, because it is connected to your network. It is connected to all the sensors and IoT, the devices that you have. It is connected to, and it can tell you the quality of air, the quality of, the overall health of your event and the space that you are in. So yes, as a company, it has grown so much. And when it comes to digital transformation, so there are two aspects to it. So, and I deal with kind of both aspects. One is the external, what are you doing for the digital transformation of your customers and the communities and the partners that you serve? And that's where I'm part of the learning team. We build content, trainings, and other learning content for companies who are going through digital transformation, like they're moving, they're scaling their infrastructure. They're moving into cloud. They're trying to make their infrastructure more secure. They're implementing collaboration solutions. So all of that requires, especially with a lot of training, because these are complex infrastructure, not just one product, but a portfolio of product that work together. And sometimes it's a multi-vendor, solution where you have other companies, their products are also part of the overall solution and digital transformation effort. So all of that requires a lot of training and learning, and and that's what my team is focused on, because we really want who our users and that we serve to be successful in doing what they are doing. So as a learning team, our goal is to make it really easy for them to understand the products and use them successfully and adopt them and even retain them and achieve the goals that they are trying to achieve. And then there is a transformation that happens internally, which is also something that I've led, like moving. It's very common, in big tech companies, especially that are around for many, many years, that once their operations start growing, there are multiple different applications, legacy applications that they're using. But once the global operations of your, when you're selling your product more, when more and more users start using, then it's not just the product and experience that matter, it's the operations that are behind the scene that are helping you scale, like customer support and experience, how the orders are being processed and delivered and all of that. And I think there's some companies like Amazon doing a really amazing job. We don't just like Amazon for a really good platform, we like Amazon because you can order something, you can return something, and it just takes like within minutes you can just go through the whole process. And that's the mindset. It's not just a single transaction that you're doing, it's the overall experience that you're providing to your customers. So when you think about digital transformation, yes, moving your legacy system into new applications, moving your data into cloud, making sure that it's secure, making sure that as your product and platform is growing, you can scale with that. Today you have like 1 million users, and maybe next year your goal is to have 5 million users, and you don't want to keep coming back and start, keep fixing those problems. So those are the digital transformation efforts that I have led internally, while, as a company, Cisco is of course doing something similar for customers and the communities that it serves. Seems like you answered the question. Awesome. Sure.
Any other question?
I asked the questions pretty well. Most of the
Actually, good job.
Yeah.
You presented all of them. So just another thing. So for example, see, Pakistan in terms of its startup space is very, मैं समझता हूँ कि बच्चों वाले भी space में है. यहाँ पे we don't have funds. Even NIC के साथ जब हम interact करते हैं, तो NIC is also I would say they're also deprived from a lot of funds and a lot of access. We have good partners and everything, but there's still so much missing. So does Cisco have those kind of funds or grants where we could actually, scale our startups? Because there are a lot of things that we know that are global products. I mean, their spaces, but that's the kind of thing that does Cisco have those kind of programs or anything of those sort that could actually help entrepreneurs in Pakistan? Because there's so many startups here that are doing such a great, amazing job, excluding us. We're just doing normal jobs. We're just trying to automate basic stuff. But वो जो spaces हैं जिसके ऊपर आपको invest करना वो यहाँ पे नहीं है. मतलब we don't have startup funds.
Right.
We have basically we're just bootstrapping half of the time for all our things. So does Cisco have any of those programs where we could apply and we could look into this and we could have guidance for a long-term transformation? Because I do want to take our company to a point where we could actually partner with Cisco and this is what we're doing and this is where we need help.
Right.
So is there any such space?
I'm aware of one program, but I can look up and I can share. But it's also you can also go. Cisco is pretty heavy on acquisitions. expanding its product portfolio through a lot of acquisitions, and in most of the cases those acquisitions are startups that are doing really well.
Okay.
And that, I think that's a really good strategy to keep expanding without building everything in-house. And if you find something that is useful and impactful, then making it part of your portfolio. So yeah, Cisco, they do have an award program that I think it's called the Global Citizen Award, and that where different I would say organizations that are building products that are serving underrepresented communities and underserved communities, there is an award for that, and there must be other awards. I'm not remembering the name, of those, but there is definitely investment from Cisco in making sure that
Because the reason I'm
startups,
asking this,
exactly. So they do have, in short, yes, they do.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking this is,
Right.
for example, we're trying to build a few ideas which are around focused on gamification, keeping in mind the new generations, the alphas.
Gen Alphas.
Lovely ideas. To be precise and very accurate, lovely ideas.
Because it's gamification focused, we're actually trying to leverage unreal technologies, and we want to engage about climate change. Now, those are the kind of things which actually do make sense in the West, but we talk here in Pakistan, they're like, are you crazy? We don't have, हमारे पास basic चीजें नहीं है और आप कितनी advanced चीजों की बात करें. तो उस तरह की भी मतलब again, हमें ना कि space to मिले ना अपने ideas discuss करने के लिए, तो we can actually create a lot of disruption. So वहाँ पे disruption model समझ आते हैं, लेकिन वो कुछ होता ही नहीं है यहाँ पे तो किसी को समझ ही नहीं आती. हम computer game बनाना चाहते हैं, कहते हैं आपको उससे क्या ताल्लुक.
So I don't know if it's going to help or not, but I think product managers, even at bigger companies, companies, global tech companies, we go through the similar discussions if it helps, because it's not about just the idea; it's about showing how this idea fits into the larger scheme of things. And if you're going to ask for, here is my idea, and you totally believe in the in your idea, which is perfectly fine, but you're going and talking to somebody who is not invested in that space, or who doesn't have the background or the passion. So it's sometimes it's an alignment, like who are you really pitching to your idea. So being selective in who do you pitch to your ideas is important. But I think it's also important that whatever was my first point, that your ideas, you need to, there's always a process of buying, getting their buy-in. Like I go through that a lot as a product manager. I have like hundreds of ideas, but how do I narrow down that one idea and I take it to my leadership and say, this is where I think we should invest. And in most cases, I've seen the ideas that click, right away. If they're solving a problem that everybody can see clearly as a problem, and then you can map a solution and you can show this is how it's going to solve the problem. This is the impact that it's going to create, and this is the benefit that it brings back to us in terms of, let's say, revenue, if it's a revenue generating company or whatever your metrics is, right? So having that conversation every single day, even as a PM, like, it's exhausting. Knowing that companies, the kind of companies that I worked, at, they're billion-dollar companies. Why would they challenge every idea? Like, why do I have to do so much work? Don't we have all the money to just go and do this thing? But that's not even the case with big companies. Every idea needs to be aligned, needs to show clearly the problem that you're solving and how it's going to benefit both for them, for who you are solving the problem, and also for the company, how does it solve? And that's where being a product manager and being a founder it's such a hard job, because if you just focus on solving problem for somebody else, if it doesn't bring anything back to you, then your idea is not going to sustain without funds, without resources. And if you're only thinking about your business and completely ignoring who you are solving this for, and it really eliminates any pain points, then there's going to be no adoption, you know, of your idea. So I think I wouldn't feel discouraged, even if people to tell, you know, to all the founders, like, आप कैसे ideas की बात करें. I think हम उन्हीं ideas की बात करें, the ideas that move us. And that's why I said that you really need to believe in the core of who you are, because this may not be the right space, but you may pitch to a different investor and they will like, this is the idea that I was looking for. So
And sometime you find that right spot, that right place.
It's the right
for your
place,
idea.
right. So I would totally stay true to myself, believe in my ideas, even if people tell me crazy. Because if I had told anyone that I would be co-founding PWiC like 20, maybe 10 years ago, nobody would have. And yes, I had gone through that experience. There was a time when I was, you know, reaching out to my network and reaching out to my friends like, hey, we need something like this. And no, there was no traction. But then the traction really happened in that one conference where I found like 5 other people who were talking about the same idea, the co-founder thinking about the same idea, and so the timing and the place and everything was right, and it just kicked off. So sometimes it's just the alignment of different forces of nature, you know, to come together.
I'm very patient that way.
Do we have any other questions? No? So, Huma, it was lovely talking to you.
It was lovely to be here as well. Yeah.
And specifically thinking about how your journey started, how NIC was a part of it, and today you're here at NIC answering the questions of our startups. It's lovely. It's very inspiring for me specifically.
Thank you so much. I think there's a special magic to, you know, when you start something and then you come back a few years later and that thing has grown, and then you reflect, you know, there is an opportunity to reflect back and see how far you have come. So yes, NIC has been a huge part of that, you know, that founding effort, and for which I'm really grateful, because PWiC, nobody knew PWiC back in 2018. We were just getting started.
Doing a lovely job,
And even then, you know, we were able to find a space and support and community here at NIC for that purpose, and now so many years later it's like home.
Thank you.